Interface testing is designed to check the usability of individual components within an application. For example, you want to verify that data is passing correctly from one control to another in an application. You want to make sure that security requirements are being met. Things like encryption are actually being done in between pieces and parts of the system or application that you're testing. You want to look for usability, accessibility, and other general errors related to the application. But interface testing is, again, at the component level. You're looking at individual pieces and parts of the application and seeing how do these individual pieces work. Compare that with integration testing, which is looking at the overall set of components. How do the components work together? How do they integrate together? So you're looking at all aspects of the application. Interface testing could include things like looking at the GUI, the graphical user interface, looking at the application itself, the underlying operating system, how the two communicate with each other, how you interface with peripherals, or how communication within the program actually works. There are different kinds of interface testing that you can do. Generally, a lot of testing on various interfaces is done through automation, using automated methods, automated programs to do that on your behalf. You find that this is highly efficient and effective. You can do a wide base of tests with automated tools, and it's very repeatable. It's very reliable. The downside to this is once you define your test case, it's not very dynamic. I mean, you can't deviate from that test case without recreating the test case or modifying the configuration of the tool itself. Manual testing, on the other hand, gives you that flexibility to react dynamically to changes or to results that you see in previous testing. It really helps with user feedback. So if you're doing graphical user interface testing, you can solicit user input on does this interface make sense, and you'll get the perspective back from the guy who's actually got to sit there and use it. You can't get that with automated tools. That's why there's a notion that maybe you ought to do both types of testing. So combine automated testing with manual testing to make sure that you get both perspectives. From a consideration standpoint, you really want to look at how services are requested and delivered. In other words, how individual components within the application are requested, data gets delivered, and look at does that actually work? Does it work the way that the program is intended to? And then you also want to look at how the system handles non-standard conventions or events or input. This starts to cross the line into, instead of interface testing, now you're doing misuse case testing. But it's all focused from here on the standpoint of, am I looking at individual components and do they work? There are a couple different tools. Well, there are many different tools out there that you can use for interface testing. Again, the reason you want to use a tool for this is it helps you automate it, gives you increased accuracy, repeatability. You can run the same test multiple times, so that if you change something in the application, you can run the same test again and see the difference in results. It's less prone to operator error, as the case may be. You're able to do much more exhaustive testing on the application and much more efficiently than you would if you were doing it manually. But two tools that we just kind of highlight here for you are IBM's Interface Test Framework for SOI, or Service-Oriented Integration. Again, IBM's a very large company. They create some very excellent tools for this. You're probably not going to use this kind of tool if you've got a website or a small web application. Generally, these tools are reserved for enterprise class applications where you've got hundreds of thousands of lines of code. Big development efforts will use a tool like this. And the multi-interface test tool, or MIT from Microsoft, is another one that you can use if you're doing specific hardware or peripheral checks. This one's really well suited to checking for drivers, simulating test cases with hardware, and the like. And all of this you can use for interface testing.